SSB interview is one of the most planned and time-tested system of interview. It actually goes over to 4-5 days. There is no other interview system presently, as I know of, which actually takes so much of pains to assess their candidates. The reason is simple. The Britishers who started the system, they were actually ruling our country through the army. The defense services officers were the backbone of British Empire. They were not only the army men, but they were also the administrators. They were leading men, leaders of men, and controlling the population at large. Therefore, this system actually goes on to assess a candidate reasonably differently from most of the other assessment systems. That includes the other class 1 services. You are assessed by 3 independent assessors. Please mark my words. 3 independent assessors who do not share information about a candidate till they finally sit in the conference to decide whether the candidate has to be selected or not. And all 3 have got different methods. What the SSB calls it is Manasa, Vacha, Karmana. Manasa means thinking. Man se. Vacha is what you speak. And Karmana is what you do. Now there has to be a sync between them. The psychologist actually tests you with Manasa. His whole aim is to be able to get into your mind and see how your conscious and subconscious works. Because if your qualities are depicted by your subconscious mind, then you actually possess them. But somehow, if they're not there, you actually cannot fool the system because the system is so designed. Vacha. बोलना. ना बोलना एक बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग और मजेदार आर्ट है. इंटरेस्टिंगली हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम में वाचा का बहुत बड़ा स्थान नहीं है. हम बच्चों को बोलना, पब्लिक स्पीकिंग नहीं सिखाते और ना ही इसमें टेस्ट करते. हम पढ़ाते हैं, याद कराते हैं और लिखवा लेते हैं. तो सुनने, पढ़ने और लिखने में तो वो ठीक हो जाते हैं, लेकिन जो चौथा और सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट सिस्टम है बोलने का, उसमें वो कमजोर रह जाते हैं. And that is what is exactly caught by the interviewing officer. Interviewing officer, 1-to-1, point blank, one after the other, is asking you questions. He's checking how you listen, how you grasp, how you analyze, how you organize the information, and how effectively you communicate. The third one, the third assessor, the group testing officer, actually now gets into the domain of dynamic situation. In the interview and the psychologist, you're alone. In the psychologist part, you are just alone with your time. You may be sitting in a room with some other people, but a test is given to you and you do it in your time. There is no influence of external factors. In interview, it is 1-to-1 conversation. Just one interviewing officer and you. But now comes the group testing part of it. And here, the situation is dynamic. You really don't know how many people will be there in your group, how many of them will be very active, how many of them will be jumping, how many of them will be absolutely quiet, on which topic they will just go quiet, or suddenly they will start jumping. And it is not only talking, it is planning, it is doing, it is competing as a group. And here, as a silent observer, the GTO is actually only explaining the rules and setting the environment. And thereafter, he is just watching. He is seeing you speak individually and in group. He is seeing you plan and speak individually and in group. He is seeing you act in command test, in command task. Then he is seeing you as a member of the group, and not the least as a member of a group in competitive spirit. And in all this, what is most important is that you must be able to give out and display those qualities which the SSB is looking for. In the last day, all three of them, the interviewing officer, the psychologist and the GTO, they sit down together and decide which candidate deserves to be in my unit, in my team as an officer, to share the responsibilities that I would have as a commanding officer. That is the bottom line. That is where yes or no is written. And if all the three agree to select a candidate, then only the candidate is selected. Initially, all three may have selected him, or two may have selected him, and one may have rejected him. But then they discuss, come to an agreement. Finally, a collective decision is taken, and then the candidate is finally declared selected or not. This is the entire process of the Service Selection Board, and at the end of it, you will come out having really enjoyed this personality test. Thank you.